How do you become an expert in your field within days rather than the 10,000 or multiple years that it takes to become an expert? In this video, I'm going to walk you through 3 things you can do starting right now that will help you become an expert within your field or within your industry. And I'm going to share that with you right now. Hello and welcome to Audacity2Lead. I am Dayo Samuel, and this is where we give you the courage and the necessary insights you need to lead with more influence. Now, if you want to become an expert in your field, there are a couple of things that you will need to start doing. Of course, the general advice is that for you to become an expert is for you to commit about 10,000 hours into doing whatever it is that you want to become an expert in. Now, what I have found is that kind of pulls some persons back because they don't even want to make that commitment of 10,000 hours. So let's flip the question and ask, how can you become an expert in a matter of days rather than the 10,000 hours, which is going to go into maybe years or so? Maybe you are even creating content or you are trying to start off with a new field. How can you become an expert in as short time as possible? And yes, and if you watch to the end, I'm going to give you an opportunity to go deeper on this and how to master what I call the niche mastery method. So step 1 of becoming an expert within your field is to identify what makes you you, and by extension, what makes you unique. Now you may be wondering, oh, that's something I already know. Now here's what you need to understand about what makes you you. What makes you you is not your skills per se. It's not even the things you know how to do. It's not even how much of talking that you do. Or maybe even the content you create. That's not what makes you you. What makes you you go beyond that. In fact, I use an acronym called 4W to actually explain that. So first is you need to understand your wow, what excites you. You need to understand your why. That is, why does something or whatever it is you do, why does that thing matter right now? And then you need to understand your wit. Your wit talks about your story, your beliefs, your philosophy. You need to be able to identify that. And then the last one is your wisdom. And when I say your wisdom simply refers to the fact that you have an accumulated experience that is completely different from other persons. And so when you identify what makes you you, and by extension, what makes you unique from every other person, it gives you an advantage over every other person that will be playing the same market as you. Number 2 way to become an expert in your field in less time is to understand that being an expert is not so much of a skill, rather it is so much about thinking and leading, what is commonly referred to as thought leadership. Now, every single person who wants to become an expert in some ways practically wants to actually be a thought leader. That is, they want to be able to lead people's thinking and people's behaviors in any way that matters to them. Now, one of the things that you need to understand here is that if you want to become an expert, it goes beyond just the skills that you acquire. It also goes into how you influence people, how you shape people's thinking, how you influence people to behave in a certain way. So, for example, I'm sharing something with you right now. You may be thinking, oh, I'm getting content. Well, what you need to also understand is that I am actually influencing your thinking. That's exactly some of the things you need to consider when you want to become an expert. How can you begin to influence people's thinking and their behaviors? And at this point, just as I mentioned earlier on, if you are interested in going deep with these subjects, I have a link in the description right now that you can actually click that will take you to a mini course, a very, very short mini course that goes deep into some of these things that I've talked about here. So I'm going to recommend that you actually go ahead and go through that course. In fact, it's something that you can take right now. So check the link right below and you can go there right now. How to become an expert in your field. Step number 3 is to answer the question, how is your product or service different from every other person? Now, you notice I didn't say better, because better is oftentimes relative to you because you are the person who's making the product or offering the service. You may look at it as, this is what I do better than other people. But what you need to understand is, how is your service or your product different from other people? And you need to understand that every single person within a market starts at a particular level. You just need to constantly up the game every time. That is how you can be perceived as the expert in your field. And if you don't know how to do any of these three things that I've just shared with you, that is, you don't know how to identify what makes you unique, you don't know how to influence people's thinking and their behaviors, and maybe you don't even know how to identify what makes your product or your service different from other people, I have a mini course right now that you can actually take that's going to go deep into this subject. In fact, in the course, you'll be able to understand how content play a role in helping you become an expert. In fact, you will even understand, more importantly, the 4 different types of content you should be creating in order to position yourself as an expert within any field. Now, over time, this is something that I have personally done myself. I mean, I have gone from helping people start blogs to helping people launch profitable podcasts. I've also gone from that to becoming somebody who helps people overcome fear and anxiety. I've gone from that to almost every niche that I have dreamed of. I've entered there and become the subject matter expert. How exactly am I able to do that? Particularly if you are the type of person who has multiple interests, how can you combine that or all of those interests into just one niche that helps you to become that powerful expert that's going to make change happen for other people? Now, if that's something you want, click the link in the description below and you can go take the mini course right now. As I mentioned earlier on, our goal here is to give you the courage and the necessary insights you need to lead with more influence. I am Dio Samuel, and you can pick any of the videos here. If you don't want to go check that link, you can pick any of the videos here and watch right now. They are going to also expand on some of the things I've talked about right now. I am Dio Samuel. I'm going to see you in any of these videos.